are some social issues that you guys can think of that have to do with driving? Some big social problems.
I'll say texting.
Texting and driving, that's a big one. A lot of people get distracted by texting and
How
Can
about
veer off the
elderly driving?
elderly driving, that's a big one too. Yep.
Drinking and driving?
Drinking and driving.
That's a
yes,
big one.
that's
That's big.
to be honest, I have some pamphlets for you guys. Drinking and driving is actually the #1 cause of death in driving fatalities. Okay, what do you guys think some ways we can solve this problem? Some things we can work on to solve this big problem of drinking and driving and the fatalities that it causes?
Well, they have the breathalyzer thing in the cars.
Let's see, drinking.
Won't let you drive unless.
Drinking and driving solutions. Okay, let's make some bullet points. You said the
Breathalyzer.
breathalyzer.
the
Okay.
ignition.
So you want the breathalyzer, we could put it in the car at all
Yes.
times or after they get a DWI like it is right now?
Probably after like a DWI.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
once, but then how does that solve if we were to, that's how it is now, so it would kind of stay the same.
Right. Right.
So if we had it in the car maybe all the time or for every single car,
I don't like government,
That would be, yeah, to
going,
regulate.
imposing its will on the
And
the
then-
non-drinker or the
Yeah, and
non.
then-
right.
Why
yeah.
should
Price
suffer
will
the
go up
cost?
for everybody.
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean it would
car.
definitely be extremely
Yeah,
expensive,
yeah,
but I feel like it would save a lot of lives.
How about more penalties to bar owners that they let somebody drink and go out the door?
Okay,
with
so
keys? Responsibility of the bartenders.
penalties to bartenders.
What about responsibilities? For the individual have to be responsible. Why do other people have to be responsible for them?
So maybe,
Maybe education.
well, let's go back to penalties for a minute. What kind of
Well,
penalties to bartenders could we do?
Well, fines or whatever. If somebody is caught driving drunk,
Right,
that the fine or the penalty
being
for the bartender or the place that served them the alcohol after they got to the point of not being able to drive
I mean, maybe they could
should be
at the
pretty
bar have
high.
like a rule where they have to know who's taking them home, how they're getting them home. I mean, I
That's a
feel
good
like
idea.
that's their job, so they shouldn't really get penalized for,
Right.
serving the alcohol. I mean, it's not really their fault
Right.
that someone decides to take in so much that they can't
Yeah.
drive.
As long as somebody is there to drive them home, I
Right.
guess.
I mean, so that's a good idea.
I think
Um,
that would be hard to regulate
how do
too.
you-
Yeah.
How do you distinguish it? Because
Right.
what if somebody takes a medication, has one drink, and you serve the one drink? Now it's that synergistic
Yeah,
effect
that's true.
where it multiplies the alcohol content in the individual.
And there's no way they
So
can do
now, wait, now I'm responsible for
Right,
you because
right,
you
because
didn't inform
when it
me
has
of that and that
nothing to
liability.
even- yeah.
I mean, we got to talk a lot on that.
yeah, that's a big one.
And go ahead.
Self-responsibilities.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
kinda
I
what
feel
he's
like
saying.
that's
I think
already
education, like she said.
education.
Education.
Maybe
so that
something they have to
teach you.
do every so many years or whatever if you have a valid license.
Yeah,
to
like
learn
maybe
about
once,
the effects.
Like
once you get your license, every year after that you have to take a class.
Or you have to see videos on, like, from MAD or attend a MAD group.
Meeting
the
or-
meeting,
yeah.
the Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, or talk to people who have lost a loved one.
Yeah, I feel like that would
Go to
really.
a
drunk
speech
driver,
from
that
one of
would-
them, maybe.
Something like that. Or, seeing a reenactment. Maybe every
Right.
so many years, drivers should have to see one of these things to kind of make it real.
Maybe
I-
whenever they renew their license, in order to get it renewed,
every
they
5
should take a
years.
class or something.
Well, I think right now, 10 years is your license gets renewed every 10 years.
Is it every
So
10?
So
Do you
maybe
think that would be too long of a period? I mean, in 10 years, are you thinking?
Yeah, maybe it'd have to be
Yeah.
halfway
Yeah.
through and then yeah.
So maybe if we did it every
yeah.
because I think
5
every year is
years,
too.
You could do.
Yeah.
They could do it every 5 years, and then since they make more money because they're renewing licenses earlier,
Well,
they could put in more programs.
I
Right,
like
this
the
sort of thing.
education part. I like the idea of it. Well, like they got the defensive driving program, so you can add that more into there
Into the
Uh-huh.
and
defensive driving.
emphasize it more, and you
Right.
get credits and stuff like that. So I like the education one. Yeah, that's good.
Are there any other solutions we could come up with? I mean, maybe.
The one I'm a little hard on, they're like MED, which was started in 1980.
Mhm.
Actually, the penalties are quite severe for, and again, it's hard to put a price on life, but
Right.
when an individual gets a DWI, if they get another one within 10 years, it can be a felony
Yeah.
and in jail, and
Yeah.
that you've really hurting a lot of an individual's chance to,
I mean, but when
get
you
a
look
job
at
and to
the
get
when you
back on
look
their
at
feet.
Yeah.
the statistics in your
Yeah.
pamphlets, I mean, it's one every 52 minutes a fatality happens from an alcohol accident. What is it? 38% of people are. 30% of people are
Mhm.
involved
Yeah.
in alcohol-related accidents
Mhm.
sometime in their life. I mean, it's a huge deal. So I feel like the penalty should be high, like you said. Some of them,
But if
they
they're
don't really have a
educated,
chance. Yeah. So I
maybe it
mean,
won't.
maybe if they're educated. So do you guys? What do you think the best solution here is that we can all agree on? I really think we all hit education pretty well. I think that would help.
I think that's
Like we
number
said,
one. I
classes,
like that.
That is
Educate,
probably
more
number one.
education, more training. I like that.
So education.
Yeah.
What if we say every 5 years? We said, or should it be less than that? Should it be every year? Maybe every 2 years? I feel like in a 5-year, maybe it could start out as like every year for the first 5 years.
When
Yeah.
they're
Because
younger.
when you're like
When you get your
16,
license.
right to when you start drinking at 21, I mean, I feel like it should really
Right.
hit
Yes.
hard at that age. And
So-
then after,
So
you
maybe
turn-
when you get your license, and then like
Yeah.
every year or two, and then every 5 years,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
like maybe
Yeah.
every 10. And if in the meantime you get a DWI, boom, you've got to have it every single
Right.
6 months.
right,
or
yeah,
whatever,
every,
when
yeah.
you get your privileges back.
I feel like once you do get a DWI, it should be, education should be even bigger. Like the AA
Yeah.
meetings, I think that
Yeah.
should be
Yeah.
mandatory, not just. So I think education is a huge,
I'm more for that positive reinforcement
yeah,
than negative.
then sending them to jail for,
Yep. I
Yeah.
like that positive
I think
reinforcement.
that. So I think we can rule out the breathalyzer. I mean, that's going to be way too expensive. That's going to be,
Mhm.
like you guys
Punishing
said,
people.
Yeah.
punishing people that don't deserve it. Someone
Right.
who maybe doesn't even drink.
And they already
Right.
have it for people that have.
That do
Right,
once you have
right,
one DWI,
right.
you get that in your
Mhm,
car
mhm.
automatically. Penalties to bartenders. I mean, I don't think that's really fair
Mhm.
to the bartender. I mean, they're doing their job.
I think
And
they,
it's not- they shouldn't be
I think they
responsible.
should be educated. Like
Yes,
they tell
yes,
us,
definitely educated so they can
Watch
maybe
those
make
signs.
Yes,
Yep,
yes.
Yep.
You know,
make a call. I mean, that's a good one, but I mean,
Yeah.
there's going to be
Yeah.
a lot of
Yep.
problems with that. Self-responsibilities. I think we can use that with education. So
Mhm.
maybe if we go to those two,
Yep.
to tie 'em in.
yeah, I feel like those are
I think if we only
top
had to take two, those would
those
be
would be the two. Yeah.
Mhm.
Tie 'em together.
I like that.
All right. So is everyone in agreement on the
Yep.
self-responsibility? So maybe fines
in,
will.
in education. Yep.
In education, yeah, definitely. So probably once you get your license every year, and then after maybe 5 years of the
Mhm.
education, it goes to every 2 years or every
Mhm.
3 or 4 years.
Mhm.
And then once you do have a DWI or something like that, the education.
More programs.
Right.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
So I think we're in agreement. That'd be a
Yep.
And
Very
within the
possible solution.
education would be the reinforcement,
the positive.
that and the Mothers Against Driving,
Mhm.
reenactment scenes
The
that they'd have to
results.
watch.
Right.
The results of what
That's all
happens,
part of
yeah.
education, is seeing
Mhm.
that stuff.
All right.
So we're all in agreement.
I think we're in
So,
agreement.
Yeah,
very
all right.
good. Thank you.
Yep.